and welcome to another FFplus episode. Today we are hosting Alexio Cassani, CEO and co-founder from FairMind, which is an Italian deep tech startup that develops software factories through open source GenAI. Alexio, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So to start, could you briefly introduce FairMind?
Yeah, sure. FairMind is a deep tech startup. We work try to solve a quite clear problem, at least to us, that is how to apply generative AI into software development if you are a large enterprise. So this is in other words, if you probably people knows about tools like Lovable or Cursor that are pretty skyrocketing startups in this field. But the point is that these tools works very good if you are a startup or an individual or freelancer. But if you are a large enterprise with a lot of complexity in your source code, these kind of tools often struggle. So our solution try to create order from chaos in this particular case, and allows large enterprises to adopt AI to increase productivity, to increase the quality of the code, the software code, etc., etc.
So thank you very much for this introduction. And now let's continue with the trends. So from your perspective, what are the most transformative trends that are currently reshaping the industry sectors, especially for digital transformation, particularly in production and supply chains that also you are working on? So which innovations or shifts do you see that are having the greatest long-term impact?
Well, for sure, AI, I understand that is a quite used word, but AI in this particular moment is disrupting everything, in my opinion. In particular, generative AI and more in particular, agents that are a kind of application where you can use generative AI to automate long time processes. In other words, if you imagine that in the last 20 years, basically we created processes to support human tasks. These processes have been automated by tools like ERP, CRM, etc., etc. With the agents, also the concept, the very concept of the process is changing, because at the moment is no more just a human being that is interacting to perform a task, but you have agents. Agents somehow are similar to human in the way they perform activities, but they are also different. So at the moment, most of the companies we are working for, even though we are more focused on the software processes, in this case, in the software production, they are facing this challenge to try to reinvent themselves, also the processes, in order to adopt in the best way AI with support of human, or the opposite, based on the point of view that you want to adopt. So to me, this is the most, I in the market since the very beginning of this century. So I saw the internet coming, then I saw mobile apps. To me, this is even bigger than internet, in my opinion, as is changing the market, and also the tools and the roles, how organization will work soon in the future. And about the software, if you can spend just another word about that, now we are in a position that we create software, and then we use the software installed on some server or in cloud or wherever. But in the future, maybe not so far from now, maybe in 5 years from now, in 10 years, I don't know exactly when, because it's difficult to forecast this change. Maybe the software will be written in real time the moment you push a button. So also this will be disruption, totally disruption in this industry. And we, as a FairMind, of course, we are trying to leverage this disruption with our platform that is based on agents and is based on AI, of course.
FairMind addresses the common challenges that slow down software development and limit innovation. How are you integrating AI and GenAI into your workflows and solutions?
If I can give you two answers on that. If we're talking about our platform, the AI is adopted from end to end, from the beginning to the end. Our platform help us and our customers to create new software. When you create software, you start with the design new functionalities, to design architectural solutions, to design the database, etc., and then the test that you want to perform and then must be accepted in order to validate the quality of the software, and the software, of course. Our solution cover all these stages that are the traditional stages of software development life cycle, in a way that for each of them we adopt AI with agents still to try to improve and to make it more, let me say, high quality and reliable software generation. Because at the moment, one of the problems that I didn't tell you very clearly at the beginning is that GenAI is an excellent draft generator for everything. And if you create software, and the more complex is your software or your organization, and the more is this problem to have a software that is accurate, is reliable. And if you prepare the execution plans of agents or other person that must implement this software, you can increase the accuracy. So our solution, just to give you an example, among all these stages that I told you, create execution plans that can be used by other AI agents of other companies, maybe that are working together with our agents, to create the final software. If I give you the second answer, if I may, how we do adopt AI internally as a startup, for sure, for software production we use our platform plus all the tools that we suggest to our customers, and is a very fluid situation, because not every day but every week something changes. So we do a lot of R&D, we test new tools, we adopt them internally. If you think that they are valid, we can propose this to our clients. If we need to integrate better our platform with these tools, we do, etc. But also for, let me say, all support processes like marketing and sales or HR, we are implementing agents with AI to try to help us in managing new application from our website, to manage our campaign, to manage our post on LinkedIn, etc. This is because we want to create a startup that will leverage a lot on AI, and so with maybe a small number of people, very experienced people that grow with us, using a lot of agents, or as I say, babysit agents, because at the moment it's more like that, and perform tasks. So totally, also this is another, let me say, changing and disruptive scenario, because we are of course we are seeking for investors, and until 2 years ago, investors will put money to create platform. Now that you can create software platform very fast, it's a different scenario also for them. And you, as a startup, you must find a good moat to protect your idea and your product, of course, because every day something can change. So as you can see, sorry, because maybe I also answering again the previous the previous question, but it's a very let me say, fascinating moment to live in, if you are a startup, or if you are close to innovation.
Yeah, indeed, sounds very, it is interesting, also exciting, what you're explaining now at the moment. And from here on, so we are very actually curious, how are you applying now this, let's say, know-how, all these technologies, and also your excitement into the FFplus project. So let's have a brief introduction on your use case you are working on. So what challenges does it address in the banking and, of course, financial sector?
Well, it's a good question, because for this sector, let me say, for all sectors that are very regulated, there is a lot of attention on data protection. So they are willing to adopt AI, not only for software, I mean, but they are not so open to share their data with external provider. And because now it's different. It's not like when cloud arrived 10 years ago, 15 years ago, because cloud already had this kind of challenge, put this challenge on organization. Okay, now you have to move data not from your server, but in the cloud, in a server that is virtual, is everywhere and nowhere. So this is something that organization already faced in the past. But now it's different, because it's not to put your data in a storage that is there and you can control it, or at least you have all the tools to be sure that your data are in a good state, are safe. Now you are worried about the fact, the possibility that your data will be used to train and improve other models. And this, of course, will allow your competitors maybe to obtain an advantage because of you. And you, as an organization, you really don't want this. Or in any case, you are giving a lot of opportunity and power to model providers. And so this is the point where we wanted to apply for FFplus, because we are pretty sure that for some particular task is not a problem to share data with external provider, and then you can do it in a safe way. For other, when you want to share some sensible data, it's better for you to use model that give you this safe and this safe level, the data protection that you need. So our use case was to try to adapt, and what we did is exactly that, a small language model for the finance and for banking and financial sectors. And this means that at the end of the day, our clients can physically install this model inside their server. And this means that they have the most high level of protection that you can have, because you can eventually, if you want, to install it physically in your data center. And this is very important, because for us, when we have these conversations with banking and financials, and maybe in the future with, I don't know, hospitals or other actors, the first thing they say when they look at our platform is, wow, it's incredible, it's what we are looking for. The second thing they say, okay, remember that is everything working as you claim, you have to come here and install it physically in our data center. This is doable for a software, but it's not doable if you are using a model like Claude or GPT or any commercial models that cannot be installed. But even if you can, it's not possible. But in the case you need to, or you are allowed to install it, you need a lot of GPUs that possibly at the end of the day, they probably doesn't make sense for your use case. So to use a small language model that can be installed physically with lower power computers in your laptop or your own server that you can provide, it's a game changing for us, because our platform can use it not maybe, of course, not for all the processes, but we can have an agent that will be the agent specialized for banking and financial that will use this model, this particular model, to do all the activities that are needed in a safe way, and something that are appreciated and is a game changer for us, for our clients.
Yeah. So your actually some project is almost executed, so it's running to an end. And at this point, how do you see it impacting your operations, competitiveness, or market opportunities as soon as you are closing this project?
It's in a very simple way. They are helping us convert prospect from clients and we are talking with a lot of institutions at the moment, not only in Italy, also in Switzerland, in France, and all of them are interested in our solution, but they are waiting us to provide also this level of security. And so for us, will be a real will have a lot of impact for our sales, because we can start to sell and install our solution to this type of clients. So we think that will be a game changer. At the moment, we are still not advertising it a lot, because we want to wait the right moment to do it. So we are doing this in one-to-one to banking that are approaching us, and already we have a pretty interesting pipeline. We think that the moment we can also say that the model is there, that can be used, and we already have some results, because one of the idea is, of course, to try to use it at first with Credit Agricole, this partner of this project with us. The moment we have the results, I think that the opportunity will be even greater than now.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear about that. So we are also crossing the fingers that everything goes well after the conclusion. And if we're now turning, for example, on your challenges during the project execution, have you encountered any specific challenges, and how have you been solving them?
Well, yeah, of course, to train a model in this case was mainly have a post-training process. It's a very complicated activity, as you probably know. So there were many challenges that we had to manage during the process, the project. Probably the most important one was related to the evaluation of these models, because of course a model works if it works. I mean, if it works always, not works from time to time. If you're talking to a bank or a insurance institution or whatever, they are of course are the expectations are very high. They want to have kind of 100% of accuracy. That for in artificial intelligence in general, this model is very complicated. It's doable the moment you can reduce the scope, of course, and we are reducing the scope because we apply to software and banking, so it's easier in this case, but still complicated, and so we needed to create um, basically a system to evaluate these models under different situations, to allow us to understand if the training and also the data that we were providing to this model were right, or we needed to provide more data or different kind of data. So it was really the first thing that we did, the most important, probably the most complicated also, but yes, we did it at the end. So I'm very happy. The team is a very strong team. So I'm happy about the fact that we could also leverage some experience on the singular of some individuals of the team that are also contributor in open source project about evaluation of this model. So we are somehow we try to collect the right skill for the project from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So from software and data, let's now heading to HPC infrastructure. So which HPC infrastructure have you been using during the experiment, and what key takeaways or lessons learned have you gained along the way?
Well, we used Leonardo. Leonardo is an Italian HPC managed by Cineca, and so we mostly use that one. In parallel, we also use some small GPU on our side just to integrate from time to time the need. But 90% of the load was put on Cineca Leonardo, and let me say that. There were a lot of technical, let me say, we learn a lot about how to balance and to parallelize the training, because of course the moment we start to train a 32 billion parameters model, we need also to leverage parallelization strategies, as probably if people know what I'm talking about, is one of the most complicated things in general for in software. So we needed to manage this. And also the monitoring of the GPU utilization was something that was not so easy at the beginning. So we learned a lot how to do it. And now we are, let me say, I don't want to say black belt on that, but we are pretty good. And also to manage the fault tolerance, because of course, when we start to train models with a very large scale runs demand on the system, we also needed to mitigate all possible failures, putting checkpoints, recovery status, and stuff like that. Of course, Leonardo enable us to gain an hands-on experience. So this is also what we are very happy about this project, because we learn a lot on this, and we hope that we can also apply this in other situation in the future. So this is what probably the main lesson learned that I can tell you.
So great to hear that. And now it's time to wrap up this interview with some final thoughts. So what advice would you give to the other SMEs that haven't yet explored the use of HPC and AI in their business?
Well, usually the suggestion that I give to all these to all the organizations that ask me is to start to use AI in any case, and start to understand how you can change the way you work, your processes with AI. And this is the very first step. If you do that, you start to become accustomed, and you can start to learn and how an AI model act. You start also to identify the opportunities, and in this case, of course, using commercial models is a good way to do it, because they are already there, they are accessible, and so this is the first step. Then, the moment you start to understand where you can apply this and change the way you work and create, maybe you need data protection or possibility to have internal knowledge and not to delegate to external models your processes and your data. So initiatives like FFplus are great, because of course you can obtain what you need, that is power, also support, and not only, I mean, financial support, but also from the person that stay with us side by side, helping us also to manage this very challenging project. And it was the first one for us, at least as a startup. So I don't want to say that everybody can do it, because it's complicated, but it's doable. So we are not a spin-off of Google or whatever. We are people that are passionate and skilled, of course, but with the right support, we did it. I know that other partners of the project did it as well. And so it's something that my suggestion is not to be scared about this kind of activity. Maybe also to set the right expectations. So do not pre-train the model from scratch. That probably in 2025 doesn't make sense a lot, but post-training with some of these techniques like reinforcement learning are very, very powerful, and can also be achieved in months like we did. So it's something that is not a dream, let me say, something that with the right support is totally achievable. And so just embrace your idea and and apply, let me say, to a project like FFplus or others that maybe you will launch in the future. I don't know.
Yeah. So Alexio, thank you very much for encouraging our users. And actually, this brings us to an end. It was a pleasure having you with us. So thank you very much, and wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It was a real pleasure for me to talk with you today.